Today, I'm going to show you a simple, uncomfortable, and extremely revealing test that can completely change your productivity. Because the truth is, most people are not unproductive because they lack time. They are unproductive because they do not clearly see where their time is actually going. You can spend an entire day busy, answer messages, solve small problems, jump between tasks, open and close apps, think about what needs to be done, and still end the day with the same frustrating feeling. I did a lot, but I didn't do what really mattered. And that is the point. Your biggest problem may not be laziness. It may not be a lack of discipline. It may not even be a lack of focus. Your biggest problem may be that you are not seeing, in real time, what is stealing your attention, breaking your concentration, and pulling you away from what you said you were going to do. That is exactly why this test is so powerful. For one day, you are going to set your phone to go off every 15 minutes. And every time the alarm sounds, you are going to write down exactly what you are doing at that moment. No filtering. No trying to sound productive. No nice excuses. Just the truth. Because once you start recording what you are actually doing throughout the day, something shifts. You begin to notice patterns. You start seeing distractions that once seemed harmless. You discover whether you are living with intention or simply reacting to whatever shows up in front of you. And the most striking part is this. You may be losing hours of your life without even realizing it. Hours that could be used to build your goals, grow your work, strengthen your mind, and move closer to the life you say you want. But before I explain the test, you need to understand something important. Unproductivity almost never begins with big mistakes. It begins with small detours, small interruptions, and small distractions that, by the end of the day, become a major waste of time and energy. Most people think the problem is a lack of motivation. Others think it is laziness. Some believe they just need more discipline, more energy, or more time. But in many cases, the real issue is simpler and more hidden than that. The problem is that many people live their entire day on autopilot. They wake up, grab their phone, answer something, remember a task, start another one, stop halfway through, react to something urgent, check a notification, get pulled into a conversation, open a tab for no real reason, and repeat this pattern again and again. By the end of the day, the mind feels tired. The body feels like it worked, but the important results never happened. And this creates a quiet kind of frustration. You do not feel like you are doing nothing. You feel like you are moving all day. Yet somehow, you still did not move forward in what really matters. This is one of the biggest problems in modern productivity. People confuse movement with progress. Being busy does not mean being productive. Doing things all day does not mean doing the right things. And there is another mistake that has become increasingly common. Many people are confusing a lack of direction, a lack of clarity, and a lack of priority with problems that seem far more complex than they actually are. They do not clearly define what must be done. They do not set clear goals. They do not know which task matters most among many. They do not organize their day around what truly matters. But instead of facing that internal disorganization, they start assuming that something deeper must be wrong. They begin to believe it must be an attention disorder, a vitamin deficiency, a hormonal issue, or some hidden condition that explains why they cannot focus. And of course, there are real situations where professional help is necessary. But what happens to many people is different. They are living without direction, without focus, and without clarity. But they interpret that as if something inside them were fundamentally broken. So they spend time, energy, and money trying to solve a problem that may not even be the main one. They search for complex solutions before facing the basics. Many times, what is missing is not something mysterious. It is something simple and demanding. Decide what needs to be done, define your goals, choose what matters most, and direct your attention there. Because when you do not know exactly what needs to be done, everything distracts you. When your priorities are unclear, every task feels urgent. When you do not decide what deserves your energy, your day gets hijacked by randomness. And that is where unproductivity grows. Not just because of a lack of effort, but because of a lack of direction. Before I show you the test, think about a very common scene. You know you need to do something important. Maybe start a project that is already overdue. Maybe finish a task you have been postponing. Maybe study. Maybe organize an area of your life you can no longer ignore. You know what needs to be done. You know this is the right moment to begin. And deep down, you actually want to do it. But right at that moment, your brain looks for an escape route. Not something dramatic, just something small. A little reward before the effort. A quick distraction. A short relief before you begin. So you think, I'll just take a quick look at Instagram. It feels harmless. Just a short break. Just a few seconds. You open the app, and in moments, your attention is already somewhere else. One story leads to another. A short video grabs your focus. A post sparks curiosity. Without noticing it, you are no longer in control of your attention. And the dangerous part is that almost none of it feels serious while it is happening. You do not feel like you abandoned a priority. You do not feel like you made a major mistake. You do not feel like you sabotaged your day. It all feels small, light, justifiable. But in practice, something very important just happened. You traded what was important for what was immediately rewarding. You traded building for stimulation, depth for distraction, direction for impulse. When this happens once, it seems harmless. But when it happens several times throughout the day, it causes silent damage. You lose momentum. You lose mental presence. You lose the concentration required to go deep into what matters. And without realizing it, you train your brain to run away whenever effort, discomfort, or delay appears. That is one of the biggest problems with productivity today. It is not just that people are distracted. It is that they are being conditioned every day to escape what requires focus and move toward whatever offers fast reward. That is why the 15-minute test is so powerful, because it interrupts that automatic pattern. It breaks the trance of routine. It forces you to face, in real time, what would normally pass unnoticed. The test is simple. Throughout the day, you set your phone to go off every 15 minutes. Every time the alarm sounds, you pause and write down exactly what you were doing at that moment. No polishing, no softening, no trying to look better than you were. The note has to be honest. If you were focused on the most important task of your day, write that down. If you were answering messages that were not a priority, write that down. If you were scrolling, switching tabs, delaying the start of a task, or avoiding something you knew you needed to face, write that down too. Because this test is not here to protect your self-image. It is here to reveal the truth of your routine. And that may be the most important part of all. Most people never observe themselves with this level of clarity. They live through the day, but they do not examine it. They feel tired, but cannot clearly identify what drained their energy. They say they were busy, but cannot prove they were focused on what mattered. So they keep repeating the same patterns while trying to solve unproductivity with generic advice, never reaching the real problem. The 15-minute alarm changes that, because it creates repeated moments of awareness. It is as if something keeps interrupting your day to ask a difficult question. What am I doing right now? Is this aligned with my priority? Is my attention still in my hands, or has it already been taken by something else? And once these questions begin repeating, the illusion starts to collapse. The illusion that you only lost a few seconds. The illusion that small distractions have no real impact. The illusion that you are more focused, more disciplined, and more intentional than you actually were. And this test is not meant to make you feel guilty. It is not here to humiliate you. It is not here to prove that you failed. It exists to create awareness. Because before you can fix your routine, you need to see it. Before you can strengthen your focus, you need to discover where it is breaking. Before you can become more productive, you need to stop relying on vague feelings and start looking at facts. And maybe the most uncomfortable part is exactly this. By the end of the day, you will not just have an impression of how you used your time. You will have evidence. You will be able to look at what you wrote and see whether you were truly moving forward or simply reacting, whether your time was directed with intention or scattered through small impulses that seemed harmless, whether your day was consciously built or slowly dismantled through repeated distractions. And when that becomes clear, it becomes much harder to keep lying to yourself. Because the truth may be uncomfortable, but it can also be liberating. This is where the test stops being just an interesting idea and becomes a mirror. One thing is imagining how you use your time. Something completely different is looking at your notes and seeing what actually happened. And for many people, that moment brings a shock. You begin the day believing you are trying to manage everything. But when you look at your notes, you realize that much of your energy did not go to what was essential. It went to interruptions, small escapes, secondary tasks, immediate responses to things that did not deserve your attention at that time. The impact of this test lies right there. It dismantles the image you created of your own routine. Many people discover they were not short on time. They were short on direction. Others realize they had a task list, but no real hierarchy of priorities. So they stayed busy, solved many things, but left aside the one thing that would have moved their life forward. There are also those who discover something more uncomfortable. It was not a lack of ability. It was not a lack of intelligence. It was not necessarily a lack of energy. It was a repeated pattern of dispersion, an attention that slipped too easily, a mind that, whenever effort appeared, searched for quick distraction, a routine driven more by impulse than by decision. And when that shows up on paper, it becomes difficult to keep romanticizing your own exhaustion. Because not all tiredness means progress. Not all busyness means advancement. Not every full day means a meaningful day. Sometimes what drains you is not too much important work. It is too much fragmentation. It is starting too many things and finishing too few. Shifting focus too often. Giving too much attention to stimulation and too little depth to what matters. This test also reveals the patterns of your own vulnerability. You begin to notice when your mind becomes more scattered, when your phone becomes more tempting, which tasks you avoid most often, what kind of activity tends to become an escape, and at what points in the day you stop doing what you planned and fall into reaction mode. That perception has enormous value, because while the problem is vague, everything feels too confusing to change. But once the pattern appears, change starts to feel possible. You stop fighting against a vague feeling of unproductivity and start seeing concrete areas of your routine that need to be corrected. Maybe your biggest problem is not procrastinating all day, but losing focus in small blocks throughout the day. Maybe you start the morning well, but lose structure after a certain hour. Maybe you are working, but on the wrong things. And that changes everything. Because once you see the pattern, unproductivity stops being an abstract enemy. It starts to have a face, a trigger, a time, and a structure. And this leads to an important realization. The true enemy is usually not laziness. In many cases, the person wants to produce. They want to move forward. They want to get their life in order. They want to follow through. The real enemy is accumulated inattention. It is the sum of small breaks in focus throughout the day. It is the habit of interrupting what matters for every new stimulus. It is the inability to stay present long enough to go deep. Many people are not idle. They are scattered. scattered across notifications, loose thoughts, other people's urgencies, secondary tasks, unnecessary checking, and quick escapes that seem harmless in the moment but become expensive by the end of the day. That cost does not always look dramatic. Sometimes it appears as mental exhaustion, a feeling of always being behind, the frustration of doing a lot while advancing very little in what actually counts. Focus is rarely destroyed all at once. It is eroded little by little. Every interruption forces the mind to reorganize. Every detour breaks your rhythm. Every context switch weakens your ability to remain fully inside one task. And when that happens repeatedly, you are no longer working with depth. You are just trying to recover from one break in attention after another. That is why real productivity has less to do with doing more and more to do with the quality of your presence. It is not enough to be in front of the task. You have to be fully inside it. And that becomes impossible when your mind has been trained to chase stimulation all day long. So the question is not only how to remove distractions. The question is how to identify the pattern and respond to it intelligently. That is why this test needs to be applied the right way. First, choose a normal day, not your best day, not a day when you are especially motivated. Choose a day that truly represents your real routine. Then set your phone to go off every 15 minutes during the part of the day you want to observe. Every time the alarm sounds, write down what you are doing at that exact moment. Do not be vague. Be specific. Instead of writing working, say what kind of work. Instead of writing on my phone, say what you were actually doing. The clearer the note, the clearer the pattern later. You might write things like replying to messages that were not a priority, scrolling Instagram before starting the main task, working on the most important task of the day, jumping between tabs without finishing anything, organizing secondary things to avoid the hard work, handling something urgent that came up, planning the next phase of a project. Notice the difference. When the note is specific, the truth becomes easier to see. And this test should not be used to punish yourself. The goal is not self-criticism. The goal is awareness. You are collecting information about yourself. You are observing how your attention moves. You are trying to understand your own behavior with more precision. At the end of the day, look at what you wrote and ask honest questions. Was I doing what I planned to do? What pulled me away the most? At what moments was I most vulnerable to distraction? Which tasks did I avoid? At what times was I most productive? Where did my day lose direction? These questions turn the test into a diagnosis, and diagnosis changes everything. Because once you can clearly see where your day broke apart, you stop fighting a generic problem and start making concrete adjustments. Maybe you need to protect your first hour of the morning. Maybe you need to remove certain triggers. Maybe you need to define your main priority before the day begins. Maybe the problem has less to do with ability and more to do with being too open to interruption. One day of this test can already open your eyes, but doing it for 2 or 3 days reveals more reliable patterns. One day shows signals, several days show structure. And when a pattern repeats, you stop thinking it is random. You begin to see a real tendency in your behavior. But seeing the truth is only the beginning. Because once you discover where you are failing, the next question becomes unavoidable. What are you going to do with that information? This is where many people fail. They reflect deeply, get surprised, understand where they are sabotaging themselves, and then go back to living the same way the next day. The test itself does not change your life. What changes your life is how you respond to what it revealed. If your notes showed that you lose too much time on your phone, then the problem is no longer hidden. It has a name. And once a problem has a name, it needs an objective response. Maybe that means leaving your phone away from you while you work on your most important task. Maybe it means turning off notifications. Maybe it means setting fixed times to check messages and social media. If the test showed that you begin the day without direction, then the solution is not simply focus harder. The solution is to begin the day with clarity. Know what the most important task is before you start. Know what truly must be done. Know what cannot be replaced by smaller, easier activities. If the test showed that your problem is constantly switching tasks, then the change has to happen in the structure of your day. Maybe you need focus blocks. Maybe you need to group similar tasks. Maybe you need to stop mixing deep work with random checking and small reactive decisions. And maybe the test reveals something even more important. You are working, but on the wrong things. This happens more often than people realize. Many stay busy with operational tasks, details, superficial adjustments, easy pending items, and low-value demands that create a sense of movement, but not real progress. In that case, the problem is not effort. It is hierarchy. You are spending energy, but not protecting your best energy for what actually moves your life forward. That is an essential shift. Productivity does not increase when you simply try to do more. It increases when you start doing, with more awareness, what truly matters. And that means change must happen not only in effort, but in structure. Because discipline without structure wears out quickly. You may force yourself for a while, but if your environment still favors distraction, if your priorities remain unclear, and if your day is still too open to every immediate impulse, you will fall back into the same cycle. That is why real change begins when you stop depending only on motivation and start building a smarter system to protect your attention. And this is where the deeper value of the test appears. Because in the end, it does not only show you how you work, it shows you how you live. At first, this may seem like just a productivity tool, a way to find distractions and improve your routine. But when you take it seriously, it reveals something much bigger. It shows who is truly running your day. It shows whether your hours are guided by intention or by impulse. It shows whether your attention is serving what matters or being captured by whatever demands an immediate response. And that changes the whole conversation. Because productivity is not just about doing more things. It is about directing your energy toward what builds the life you actually want. It is about making your time reflect your priorities. It is about refusing to let small distractions decide the direction of entire days. When you start observing how you use small blocks of time, you begin to see an uncomfortable and powerful truth. Life is not lost only through major wrong decisions. Often, it is wasted through poorly used minutes repeated over months and years. That is one of the strongest realizations this test can bring. What looks small is not necessarily small. Because your future is not shaped only by big moments. It is also shaped by the way you respond to the small moments of the day. The impulse to open your phone, the urge to delay what matters, the habit of trading depth for quick relief, the tendency to live reacting instead of choosing consciously. When this repeats for long enough, it affects more than productivity. It affects the quality of your presence, your sense of direction, your self-respect, and even the trust you have in yourself. Because every time you know what needs to be done, but drift away from it without noticing, a small rupture happens inside you. A rupture between intention and action. Between what you say you want and what you are actually feeding with your time. That is why this test has value beyond performance. It helps you recover presence. It helps you leave autopilot. It helps you create a more lucid relationship with the way your time is being used. And when that lucidity appears, something begins to change. You stop treating time as something that simply passes. You start treating it as what it really is, the raw material of your life. So now the most important question is not whether this test makes sense. The question is, are you willing to do it? Because understanding an idea can be interesting. Agreeing with it can feel good for a moment. But nothing changes while everything remains only in reflection. So here is the challenge. Today, or on the next normal day in your routine, set your phone to go off every 15 minutes. And every time the alarm sounds, pause and honestly write down what you are doing at that exact moment. Do not try to look productive. Do not write what you wish you had been doing. Do not turn the note into an excuse. Just record the truth. Maybe you will discover that you are more focused than you thought. But maybe you will discover something more uncomfortable. That part of your day is being quietly handed over to distractions that have become too normal to be noticed. And that is exactly why this test matters. Because it does not work with assumptions. It shows facts. It shows whether you are actually doing what you said was important, whether your time is serving your goals or being consumed by whatever appears, whether you are living with intention or simply reacting to the flow of the day. Maybe the result will surprise you. Maybe it will unsettle you. Maybe it will reveal something you already suspected, but had not yet had the courage to face clearly. Either way, it will be valuable, because awareness is always the beginning of change. So take this challenge seriously, not as another productivity tip, not as another internet trick, but as a real exercise in honesty with your life. Observe what keeps repeating. Notice when you drift away from what matters. Pay attention to what captures your attention most easily. And when the day is over, ask yourself one simple question. Does my time reflect the life I say I want to build? If the answer is yes, you gained clarity. If the answer is no, you also gain something valuable, because now you know where to begin. In the end, the real question is not simply whether you are busy. The real question is whether your time is being used consciously. You cannot manage what you do not observe. You cannot correct what you do not identify. And you cannot build a more intentional life while continuing to hand your attention over, little by little, to whatever appears in front of you. That is why such a simple test can have such a deep impact. It does not change your life on its own, but it can reveal what needs to change. It can show where you are losing yourself. It can expose what is fragmenting your focus. It can reveal whether your routine is aligned with what you say you want, or whether it is being driven by small, repeated, silent distractions. And once that truth appears, you gain a rare opportunity, the opportunity to return to a life with more direction. Because major changes do not always begin with grand decisions. Many times, they begin when you start taking seriously the small blocks of time you once wasted without noticing. It is inside those blocks that your discipline is formed. It is inside those blocks that your focus is strengthened. It is inside those blocks that the life you want actually begins to be built. So do this test. Observe your routine. Write honestly. Face what appears. And use that awareness to regain control of your attention, your priorities, and the direction of your days. If this message spoke to you, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. When you do the test, write in the comments what the biggest discovery was about the way you have been using your time. And share this with someone who needs to do this test. Someone who keeps saying they have no time. Someone who feels like the day keeps slipping through their hands. Or someone who needs to see more clearly where their attention is really going. Because sometimes, one honest realization is enough to begin a transformation that has been postponed for far too long. I'll see you in the next video.